What's up, gardeners? Devin is back. I wanted to do a quick planting demo of one of my favorite shrubs in the garden, the oak leaf hydrangea, Hydrangea quercifolia. It's beloved for this beautiful foliage that looks like the leaves on your oak trees. And like our deciduous trees, the foliage of our oak leaf hydrangeas will also change color in the autumn. And that is just an outstanding benefit of any plant that you have. If you can get that multi-season interest from a plant, that means there's a good chance it is worthy of space in your garden. And the oak leaf hydrangea, I have tons planted in my garden. So I wanted to show you guys how to get them in the ground, how to get them started so that you can have the most successful Hydrangea quercifolia possible. Now today I'll be working with ruby slippers, one of my favorites, as well as jet stream hydrangea. Those are two of my favorite oak leaf hydrangeas. But first things first, oak leaf hydrangea, they are native to North America, particularly to the Northeast, the forested areas around the Northeast. And when you hear the word native, it should ring a couple bells. It's important to have natives growing in your garden for a few reasons. Number one, they naturally will attract pollinators that are also native to the area, which is something that's awesome. And the flowers on your oak leaf hydrangea will definitely do that. But the other thing is that when your plant is native to your region, then it's naturally predispositioned to do well. They are used to the soil conditions, they're used to the climate, so planting natives in the garden is always an awesome thing to do. Okay, so first things first, I dug a nice hole. Now I dug a hole that when you plant it in here, I got sweaty before I started the film, so I didn't have to be so sweaty on camera. So you can see it's a nice deep hole that fits all of the soil of your plant perfectly well. Now you'll notice here in eastern Pennsylvania, I'm working with some pretty heavy clay soils. And the thing about shrubs, I'm a big advocate when you're planting shrubs and trees, do not amend your soil. Why? Because there's something called the bathtub effect. When you plant your shrubs and your trees and you amend that soil and you go and water that area, well, what can often happen is that the roots of your plant, whatever they may be, they may just decide to stay just kind of confined in that amended rich soil rather than spreading their roots into the ground beneath. So I'm a big advocate when you're planting your shrubs and your trees in your garden, don't worry about amending your soil at all. Maybe it's going to take a little bit longer to kind of like perk up in the garden, but in time they will definitely outperform those that were grown in sort of amended soil. So here I have a nice hole in my clayish soil, and I'm in a rather shady, sunny location. Oak leaf hydrangeas, being native to forested woodland areas, they're going to do great in the full sun, but they're also going to do great in part sun, part shade areas as well. So here I have kind of a part sun, part shade location, and this is going to be it's going to be an awesome area for this to be growing. And it's also kind of like a rock garden, so it has this real kind of natural energy, which is beautiful. And I'm really stoked to plant this whole rock garden out with a bunch of awesome native shrubs. So stay tuned and you'll be seeing more and more of this area getting filled out. Okay, so the first thing we do, we're going to just pop it out. You can see the roots nice and strong. That's what we want to see. You want to see these roots around. And like all of our plants, we always want to break up the roots just like this, because we want to encourage our roots to grow. We don't want them to kind of stay in the shape of that container. We want them to grow into the soil beneath. So we break them up just like this, and now it's ready to put into the ground. Now we want this original soil line to be flush with the new soil in the ground. So it looks like I dug my hole a little bit deeper than I needed to. So I'm going to backfill a little bit initially. All right, let's see how that looks. Let's see, it's still a little bit low. A little bit more. And that looks just about right. Now we're just going to backfill with more of that soil that we dug out, because remember, we want to introduce our plant to the soil it's going to be growing in. We don't want to introduce it to something that is not, the soil that it's going to be living in for the next 30, 50 years. All right, at this point, let's go ahead and water our shrub. Now, because this rock garden is far away from my home, far away from the nearest hose, I will be bringing this bucket out and watering my shrub for the first summertime, only if I'm not getting rain once a week. Otherwise, I'm just gonna let Mother Nature do her thing and keep my plant well watered. By the second season, I probably won't even come out here at all to water this plant, because here in eastern Pennsylvania, we get rain about once a week. So if you're not getting that inch of rain a week, then you will need to give your plant additional irrigation, but I'm gonna be just fine as well. When it rains, the water funnels this way. So smart gardening is using the land, using the natural flow of rain in your garden and in your surroundings to your advantage. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm gonna plant this area up with lots of stuff because rain naturally fills this area and it's gonna irrigate for me, saving me time and saving, well, just saving me time more than anything. So upon this initial watering, I'm gonna give it that nice water. I'm gonna let all that soak in, and then I'm gonna do it again. All right, and then the final thing that I'll do is I always label my plants so that I know exactly what they are and when I planted them, so I can track their progress, see how they're doing. Just like that. All right, gardeners, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you click a like, think about subscribing, click that little bell for notifications, because I do post videos every single week. So stay tuned, because I will have a lot more plant content on the horizon. Ciao.